foolish, immensely. Playing around as if you don't have anything to do. You don't even listen to me as I tell you not to marry her. How irresponsible can you be? Threatening me into not taking the crown just for a mere girl from the neighboring kingdom? Ridiculous. Have you forgotten your duty? What kind of prince are you? Are you really the crown prince that I've raised to rule the entire kingdom, bearing the weight of the crown that comes with a huge responsibility with it?
I know I'm going to be the next king. You don't have to keep reminding me that. You want me to be like you so bad, but I hate to break it to you. I can never be you. You're always walking away from me, and even now, you're doing just that. Leo's telling me that I have every right to be angry at him, and I know that. I know that better than anyone. Father acts like I owe him, as if he'd always been there for me. He never cared for me, never looked me in the eye, never praised me no matter what I did. And yet he expects me to fall to my knees and heed his every word. I hate this. I hate how he makes me feel, how he makes Elena feel, but there's nothing that I can do. As long as Alistair Louis Capel is king, I'm powerless.
My dear boy, can you at least, for once, act like a reliable ruler figure? I do not mean any harm to you, but this has gone too far. The princess is barely known by the others. How can you suddenly come to me and asking for my blessings? No, my son. One day, the consequences will lay upon you, and you can only do as far as watching it pass through.
Mother, you wouldn't believe how boring today was. Honestly, if it weren't for you and Father, I wouldn't have wasted my time beating some spoiled brats. What? Don't look at me like that. I don't care if anyone hurt me. I'm speaking the truth. Anyway, something interesting did happen today. While the two lovebirds fooled around, King Alistair came in intruding their little playdate. Then he had a spicy argument with the prince. They honestly looked like they despise each other. But that's not the interesting part. So, I saw this handsome royal guard came after the prince to comfort him. He was the most gorgeous human being I've ever seen. The highlight of the day, honestly.
Looking around the grand hall, everybody seems like they're having a wonderful time. The mellifluous melody played in the background, celebrating the marriage of the only heir in the kingdom. I cannot quite tell, but something is not right. Ever since the beginning, this peculiar feeling has been bothering me. It's frustrating that I cannot quite grasp what it is. Something big is going around, but I can't see it.
As I made my way down the stairs to the altar, I could see everyone wearing their luxurious formal attire and enjoying themselves with all the ale served. As for me, the bride of the night, I pretty much went overboard with my look. It's my day anyway, and I can tell I took everyone's breath away. To be honest, they did a grand preparation. My brothers and other family members were impressed that night. As I and Asra stand in front of the altar to exchange vows, I can see that Asra had the brightest smile in the room. I can tell how happy he is to finally put a ring on me. His perfect bride. King Alistair, Prince Asra's father, was there to witness our marriage too, even though he is against our marriage. I wonder what changed his mind. After the ceremony, everyone gathers around at the ballroom for a meal. And bam! I can see everyone running around screaming. The huge, magnificent chandelier crashed. And that's when the sword went through the king.
A series of screams suddenly burst through the room. Everybody is scampering in hurry towards the main exit. The window. From here, I can make out some dark, faceless figures breaking in. Who are those people? Oh Lord, what is happening? I'm stunned, unable to move my leg. I hear Astra's voice calling for me from the side with a lace of sheer panic in his voice. Everything's happened so fast. One moment, I see the royal guards reaching towards me. The next, the crystal chandeliers collapses into the ground, drawing more screaming from other people. I see it then. A lean figure shifts in front of me, and a chill runs down through my body. I felt a sudden jolt of pain around my stomach area. Unable to bear the sudden sensation, I fell into my knees. My vision's blurred. The voices in the background can barely be heard, and breathing seems like the hardest thing to do. The last thing I see is Astra's crying face, tears and snot running through his face. Don't cry, my boy.
I was enjoying the scenery of suffering. As I was holding Leo's wrist and making our way to Astra while knowing the attackers would not harm us, I just needed to continue to be weak and helpless. Just as how everyone had the idea of me. Upon reaching Astra's side, I comforted him by giving him support. This is the best wedding ceremony I've experienced. And I could name this my Red Wedding because it would spread across the whole kingdom and affects everyone to remember the day they lost their beloved king and the reign of their new queen. Me.
I'm quite fascinated by how well the princess's plans turned out. It still baffles me how the prince could trust her so quickly. Well, it's true what they say, love makes you blind. As I made my way down to the dungeon, the prince was already awake and was in a state of confusion. Sir Leo, why in the world am I here in this dungeon? Unlock me at once. Oh, poor thing, he still thinks I'm his loyal guard. It is to protect you, Your Highness. But I couldn't help it and burst out to saying that. If only you could see the look on Prince Astra's face. It was ridiculous. Did you think I will do that for you? Beats me how a fool you are. No wonder she could trick you. I killed the king under your dearest orders. You're so naive to still believe that the princess is still innocent. The prince went quiet after I said that, until he shouts at me. You yourself told me you would serve me with utmost loyalty, and look what you're saying now. Azra.
Is that Leo? Why is he smiling like that? What does he mean? Elena's behind all of this. He has to be lying. Elena loves me, doesn't she? I mean, she tells me that every day, and she's much too pure, much too gentle to do something like this. For her to betray me, I can't accept it. I won't accept it. No, that must be it. Leo liked Elena all along, and did this to tear us apart. He would kill for her. I mean, who wouldn't? Right?
I was sweating buckets as I ran through the corridors past the dungeon guards. I didn't know what got into me. It was very unlike me to be snooping around other people's business. But Mother, after I heard that the prince was in danger and that the boy was coming, I couldn't sit still. I need to keep my family safe, and the only way for me to do that is by freeing the prince. So as I got to his cell, I saw him conversing with the royal guard, and I heard everything they said. My heart felt sorry for him that it motivated me to help him. So I told myself, be brave. And after I got my hands on a stick, I attacked the guard from behind, making him lose his consciousness. I saw how disheartened the prince looked. Poor Azra, he trusted them. It must have hurt terribly to be stabbed by someone you love. You can't give up now. Not for yourself, not for my family, nor the kingdom. That's what I told him before I grabbed the spears by the empty guard's post and forced it into his hand after he refused to take it from me. And as a Von Q, More guards came in our way. Azra and I stood with our backs facing each other, and with one signal, we fought for our freedom.
With blood dripping down my face, I ran as fast as I could to the throne room. I shouted that the prince had escaped, but I wasn't aware of the crowd in the room. The room was filled with murmurs of people overlapping, questioning, His Royal Highness? In the dungeon? Has he lost his mind? I could tell the queen was furious as she grits her teeth to hide her anger. She dismisses the crowd and assures them I was not in the right mind ever since the king died. I was dumbstruck with her anger, but she quickly convinces me how much she loves me. Though we can't be seen nor have a future together. She then tells me that I'll be leading the war. I was fleeing. What are you talking about? Was it not you who guaranteed me safety, Your Majesty? The queen chuckled and said, You shall follow my orders, or I shall decapitate you myself, with a smile on her face. I rallied the troops and read out the queen's orders. As I read out one word at a time, I wonder if this is all worth it. Though I was in the middle of slaughtering people left and right, my mind was elsewhere. If we cannot be together, what was the reason I killed King ALYSSA? It was Elena who promised me for a better life. It was she who taught me how to love. And at the exact moment, as blood gushing out as I beheaded this man, I realized it was Prince Asra who taught me love. It was he who told me that love was this magical, pure, yet painful little emotion. He was not just someone I worked for, he was my dear friend. I do not want to lose any more time, thus I went straight to the palace, dismissing the queen's orders. I thought to myself that I needed to tell him how much I appreciate his presence before it's too late. With the queen being mad as a hatter, who knows what will happen to poor Azra. As I burst the doors open, there he was. Prince Asra is looking at me. Oh, I've never been happier to see this knucklehead.
Somehow, at the end of the day, I know Leo would doubt me and come to his senses. He is sharp and a royal guard to Asra for a very long time. Once I knew he turned his back on me, I had to do something. And so, I looked for him everywhere, but I can't seem to find him. At last, I realized that if he doesn't trust me anymore, he'll be in the palace to help Asra. I brought along my blade because at that very moment, all I could feel was rage. Does he not know who he is messing with? I want him to feel pain, and I want him to disappear. I've come so far, yet he is trying to ruin everything. When I saw him with Asra, I couldn't hold my anger any longer. So I immediately took out my blade and tried to stab whoever was in front of me and ended up stabbing Leo. My blade was stuck in him and I saw blood coming out of him. That's when I froze. When Queen and Asra was about to flee, I snapped back to reality and made sure that they didn't want to come back to the palace ever again by threatening to kill Asra.
All I could hear was the roar of the battlefield, and maybe at some point, I started screaming with them, fighting for my life, fighting for my freedom. Blades clash, blood spills, and yet I keep on going. Tonight, the path that I walk will be of bloodshed. The past me would have cowered behind my men, but the me now, the me who is standing here looking at this carnage, the me with blood on his hands, the me who is watching the kingdom my father had worked so hard to build, burning to the ground. I knew what I had to do. I am King Asra Nicholas Capel, and I'll put an end to this madness once and for all. When I come face to face with Elena, for a moment, I hesitate. Oh, But cunning Elena. She lifts the very sword that I taught her to wield, and she slices. Someone jumps in front of me, and it's not Quinn, it's Leo. I'm falling to my knees, grabbing him, pressing my palms against his wounds, anything to help stop the bleeding. How can I hate you when you do stuff like this? Why are you making me promise I'd live on for the both of us, no matter what it takes? Why are you talking like you want to die? He doesn't answer. I yell, but the sounds of gunshots are louder. Leo's gone.
Why do you have to be so foolish, Azra? If you weren't blinded by love, we wouldn't be caught in this mess. And now, you've lost another person that you dearly love. My hands tightened around the sword as I fought against the princess from stepping any closer to them. Thank you, Leo. Even though I've only learned your name at the moments of your last breath, I'll remember it forever. I will not let you die in vain. I'll protect Azra and this kingdom. You have my word. Gunshots fired. More men are coming our way. We have to get off here now. I grabbed Azra by the shoulder, pulling him away from the lifeless body, and we ran as fast as we could to safety. We were finally safe, and it only took me one touch to get his attention. You are strong after all. The words spilled out from your mouth are true words of a king, and I'm glad that I risked my life to save you. Quincy, you saved a king from danger. The lonely commoner who loved to paint is now the savior of the kingdom. The king's royal guard? Well, if fate brought me this far, then I guess it is meant for me. After all, I promised Leo I'll help the crown find its rightful owner.